Hey YouTube, it's Scattyman here, and welcome to my in-depth reward overview for the Star Trek Online Winter event. There are a lot of rewards, so I'm going to start off with the weapons that only work on the event map. All of these cost 8 of every common commodity and 5 of every uncommon. Our first weapon is called Vine. It appears to be a Twizzler whip. This whip throws Twizzler bites at the target as its primary attack, doing medium damage. Its secondary attack can target up to 5 enemies, doing moderate to high damage. I actually really like this weapon, and it does a pretty good amount of damage as well. Next we have Improvise. This one is a bit strange to me. It's essentially just a carrot skin version of Lex throwing knives. It does an okay amount of damage, but not something I'd recommend. The primary attack is somewhat weaker, and the secondary attack that targets 3 enemies left something to be desired. Caramel Assault is a heavy weapon that fires caramel globs, dealing a fair amount of damage. Its secondary fire is an explosion that does a lot of damage to a small radius of foes. I actually had a lot of fun using this, and it keeps up with the better weapons on offer, so this one gets my seal of approval. The following 4 all do similar things. Candy Cane Bat'leth is literally a candy cane version of a bat'leth. It does moderate to high damage, however, losing the ability to hit enemies at range is a pretty big drawback. Lollipop Lirpa is the same, just in Lirpa form. I do, however, enjoy the rainbow effect every time I swing it. Swordfish Blue and Red are giant Swedish fish that act as swords and offer the same damage and drawbacks as the previous 2 weapons. All of these melee weapons aren't for me, but maybe for some of you. The Snowblower is a flamethrower that freezes instead of burns. It has the potential to do a lot of damage, but the range is very short, so I find myself missing a lot of shots. I wouldn't use it, but if you like flamethrowers, give it a try. Hail is my personal favorite weapon in the Winter Wonderland. The primary fire shoots a few snowballs that do medium damage at one target. The secondary fire is really where this set of pistols shines though. It shoots snowballs everywhere in a cone, and you can take out huge groups at once with it. The big one is a shotgun. That's pretty much all I can say. It's good for taking out the snowmen, and dishes out some good damage. Definitely something to consider adding to your arsenal. Flurry is another solid choice. It's a tri-round burst gun doing damage on par with the top guns, and having the same effect on large groups of snowmen with its secondary fire as hail. Avalanche does heavy damage, firing a huge snowball at one target for its primary attack, and dealing even more damage with its secondary to a wide area of targets. Freezing Mist shoots rays of, well, freezing mist at enemies. The secondary fire can shoot at 3 targets. I see this one used a lot, and it's a solid choice. The Impaler is a sniper that fires icicle bolts at the enemy. I really like this one, and for a time I used it in my Winter Wonderland loadout. Our last option is basically the same as the previous. Unrestricted Aggression is a giant Nerf gun that fires 3 darts, taking out most enemies in one burst, with the alternate fire being a sniper shot. Another solid option overall. With all the weapons out of the way, let's take a look at all of the ornaments. All of these cost 15 of every common commodity. First we have the Shaved Ice Gateway. It shoots a sustained blast of shaved ice at the target, dealing a good amount of damage to them. I keep this one in my normal loadout. Shaved Ice Flurry spawns a spinning mist of ice that chases and traps an enemy, doing damage to them. I don't find this one as useful as the Gateway, but it's viable. Shaved Ice Turret is a charging turret, meaning you need to wait quite a while for it to fire, and when it does, it fires in a pretty narrow cone. I'd avoid this one. The Snowball Mortar is self-explanatory. It's effective, but has very weak health. The explosive Gumdrop is a remote-controlled mine. It's not the best. Avalanche is a giant snowball version of Orbital Strike. I use this on my loadout and it's super effective. Snowball Turret is an awesome choice, and I would use it if I ever stop using my Frosted Boots. Candy Cane Caltrops are like ground spikes. I can't really find an effective use for them. And last but certainly not least is the last item in my loadout. Gingerbread Defense Squad, which is a security team of gingerbread men that throw gumdrops at your enemies. Both the improved Klingon Fishing Gauntlet and the advanced one help you obtain the bigger fish in the ice fishing event, so I'd save up for the advanced one. Now, with all the Wonderland gear out of the way, we can move on to gear that we can use after the event has ended. I'm going to start with the ground weapons. These are all the Nanopulse Batless in Lirpas. They're all basically lightsabers, and I think that's pretty awesome. They come in green, blue, red, and black. There's also the Nanopulse Edge Batleth Retro, which is the most lightsabery of them all, and the Black Nanopulse Mek'leth, which is the sword-like darksaber. As far as all these go, it really depends on how cool you think they are and if you like melee combat. Also, they have a chance to reflect energy damage during spin combos. The next things are the kit modules, and there are some pretty good ones in here. The Cryogenic Stasis Field freezes your opponent in an ice crystal, and does little cold damage over time. Since a lot of enemies don't have tons of cold resistance, most of these modules will be useful. Cryo Mine Barrier is one I use in my main loadout. It's the better version of Chronoton Mine Barrier, doing cold damage and slowing the enemy a lot. Cryotronic Modulation adds cold damage to your weapons. Endothermic Induction Field spawns cold fire under your enemy and is extremely effective in my experience. Flash Freeze Bomb is a lot like the explosive Gumdrop, although I find it way more effective, especially against enemies with strong shields, with its 50% shield penetration. Cryo Grenade does cold damage that penetrates shields and creates a cloud that does even more damage over time. Cryonic Pulse sets off a series of 3 pulses that do cold damage and knock back the enemy. Freeze Armor slowly freezes the enemy in place. Emphasis on the slow part. However, it will slow the enemy and root them, finally doing 100% shield penetration cold damage over time. Micro Cryonic Warhead lets you live out your dream of being the Mandalorian by shooting a micro missile at the target that then explodes and does even more damage to the surrounding enemies and rooting them. Cryo Visor Blast is the better version of the Cryostasis Field. It freezes your target and creates a small patch of ice that, if anyone is unfortunate enough to walk through, has their cold resistances debuffed. Collective Nightmares confuses the target and makes them attack one another. It also has a decent chance to make some enemies appear as Fakari.
You're pronouncing that wrong. It's Fakiri.
Yeah, man, whatever. Ravager Barrage is, well, it's awesome. It sends psionic energy at your foe, doing psionic damage and knocking them back. But what makes it so cool is that it looks like I'm shooting mini anti-proton torpedoes from my wrist. And it's settled. I'm definitely making a Mandalorian character now. Lastly, Torment of the Underworld generates a circle where all affected foes take psionic damage and have a 33.3% reduced damage output overall. Now, there are officer training manuals that all do the same thing as their respective kit module counterparts. So if you want your bridge officers to be able to use Cryonic Pulse, Freeze Armor, or Micro Cryonic Warhead, then you can train them too. All of these modules and manuals cost 15 of each common commodity. For space items, we begin with a Warp Core and Singularity Core. These will double your power transfer rate, as well as boosting your shields with your auxiliary power, and giving a 20% bonus to slipstream speed. It also gives you a new clicky called a Breen Weapons Capacitor, that gives you 40 weapon power at the expense of 15 of each of your other power levels for 10 seconds. Overall, I think it's a decent option for your ults. It costs 50 of each common commodity, and 15 of the uncommons. We have a new Vanity Shield this year, giving your ship a Fakari metal look to it.
I told you before, it's Fakiri, you wanker.
Yeah, alright bro, you don't have to be so rude about it. Here it is on a couple ships. I may consider using it on an Altar too. It's the same price as the Warp Cores. There are 4 space abilities. The first is Endothermic Inhibitor. This ability does radiation damage to the target, as well as weakening their shields. However, on my character I didn't notice much, if any, shield weakening. I was using the 3rd tier version as well. The next one is... Sorry everyone, I had to. We all know what the devs were referencing with this one. This ability does cold damage over time, and gives a reduced damage resistance rating over 20 seconds, stacking each of those seconds. Very cold in space creates a cloud of freezing gas that does damage while inside and inhibits their ability to maneuver. Finally, Best Served Cold deals an additional amount of cold damage to your outgoing energy weapon attacks for a short duration. Now, if you have a ton of ornament fragments, you can exchange them for commodities. 5 fragments nets you 1 random commodity. Also, in this tab is the most important reward of all, the Frosted Boots. These make you run a lot faster, and allow you to ice skate on the lake. The only drawback is that they make you slide around. However, you can learn to counteract this to a degree with some practice. They cost 15 of each common commodity. For 5 Lobi, you can buy the Holiday Collectible Bundle, but I would advise against this. It only gives you a random assortment of 8 commodities. Oh, and you can get the unmelting snowballs, which are just like regular snowballs you can find around the event maps, but you can keep them to throw at players indefinitely. They cost 1 of each common commodity. Next up, we have pets. There are a lot to obtain, and they're all obtained in different ways. We'll start with the gingerbread people. There's 6 in total, and all are obtained from the mysterious box of cookies and treats that you get at the end of the Winter Invasion queue. There's the gingerbread man, gingerbread woman, gingerbread Vulcan, gingerbread Andorian, gingerbread Klingon, and gingerbread Orion. Also obtained from the same box is the frigid lump of coal, which turns you into a snowman. Then there are the Epos. There's 7 regular and 7 rare. I'll only be showing the rare versions except for the lime one, as I have yet to obtain it. There's the candy striper with earmuffs, snow with bow, sugar plum with bow, gumdrop with bow, and peppermint with bow. The additional 2 are extreme lime. Again, I don't have the rare version unfortunately, and very cherry rare. All of these can be obtained by raising them with the Epo Lady in the Ice Gazebo. The final 6 pets can be bought using 25 of each uncommon commodity from the event store or item vendor. They are the Tortured Elf, the Snowconian, the Snowman, the Abominable Snowman, Festive Candy Fish, and Crampiri. If you've stuck with me this far, I really appreciate it. Also, I want to give a huge thanks to everyone on Reddit for all of your great feedback and for giving me the motivation and passion to make videos again. If you like my content and find it useful, please share it with friends and other players you think may find it helpful. The last segment of this video will be on all of the costumes and outfits that can be obtained. So this is your warning going in if you're not into the whole Space Barbie thing. This part is more so for the people who may want to see what an outfit looks like before they buy it, or just see what's on offer. First, I'll go over all of the winter jackets. They come in 3 styles: cropped, short, and long. There's 12 color choices for each style. Those are black, brown, frost, green, gumdrop, mistletoe, pumpkin spice, red, rustler, sugar plum, tuliberry, and white. Then there are the environmental coats. These come in black, frost, green and red, midnight, and red and green. Moving on, we have the winter sweaters, which come in many styles. These are Cold Day in Grethor, Disco Holiday, Festive and Futile, Festive Enterprise, Festive Gorn, Festive Odyssey, Festive Q, Festive Tardigrade, Fishing, Live Long and Prosper, Snowman, and Starfleet. There are a few other accessories to go along with these. The Winter Hat Knitted, 2012 Scarf. There's one of these for both the Federation and the Klingons. The Romulans get the Romulan Scarf with or without a pin. The Federation gets a regular scarf, a Starfleet Academy scarf, and a Federation scarf, while the Klingons get a regular scarf, an Elite scarf, and a traditional scarf. There's also two other outfits, the Winter Snow outfit and the Breen outfit, which has many options. And that's all of the rewards. As I said earlier, if you like my content and find it enjoyable, useful, or both, please share it with your friends and players you think might enjoy it or find it helpful. That's all I have to say for now. This is GuideMan, signing off. Have a good one.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, compliments, or complaints, please put them in the comments below. And as always, take care out there.